Hey, everybody, it's Friday, and it's not Fat Waffle Friday today. I did thick pancakes today. I'm trying something different for the Timberwolves. I'm hoping that's going to mean they're going to win. I know on the football party, you guys heard about superstitions yesterday. Arif, Luke Braun. I mean, that's all these guys talk about. Is there superstitions? I'm going to get the group to maybe tell me their superstitions on game day, but there was no Fat Waffles. But it is Friday, so you know what that means? It's Friday. Yeah. It's Saturday, Sunday. What? That means the crew is here. It's the Roundtable. We got Julia Daniels, we got Sam Ekstrom, and we got Reggie Wilson from Care 11. I don't know if you guys have been to Reggie's Twitter or Instagram, but this guy loves to get on the wood like Stephen A. Smith and just show out with his suits, show his shoes. I mean, he's giving y'all the full body. So I hope you guys check it out tonight because Reggie will be at the game for game 2, Friday night, Care 11. I mean, just dripping like Stephen A. Smith wished he could look like Reggie in a suit. But again, we got Sam Ekstrom, the producer who does it all. We got Julia Daniels looking like Batman coming out the shadows over there. And I'm Ron Johnson, your host. And we are going to dive into these topics. There's so much going on in sports, people. We got the college softball World Series. I know we're not talking about that today, but I stayed up all night watching UCLA. And I don't know if you guys have seen Maya Brady, but oh my goodness. She made Tom Brady proud last night. 2 home runs in the game. First time in a while it's been done in college softball. And then also Georgia. I mean, come on now. You know you've seen it. Tennessee. You got the players of the year. You got the NBA. You got college sports. But we got to get locked in on this show. So, Julia, what you got for us today?
Well, we're a little bit later. We'll talk about the Twins. And do they still look like a playoff team?
Are you saying there's a chance?
So you're saying
there's kind of a big basketball game tonight. Wolves Mavs. We got predictions.
And before that, we'll talk about what the heck went wrong in game 1.
I don't know, Reggie, but whatever it was, you cannot wear what you wore. Like, I don't care if it's your underwear, your suit, your tie. Like, you gotta change the whole outfit up because whatever it was, you got to wear Jordans maybe. I know you got the Jordans. Okay. No dress. I don't know if Kara says you can't wear Jordans, but no dress shoes. Dress shoes, they lost. Maybe the Jordans bring some winnings because then Anthony Edwards is like, oh, did you see those Jordans that Reggie had on? I got to go for 50 tonight.
Let me think of some options here.
I hope is KG going to be in the building tonight? We'll get into it. Never mind. We'll get into
Everybody has tweeted KG. He's been tweeting about the Wolves. Who knows? Maybe it's
he said he's coming. He told Stephen A. he's coming. When is it going to happen?
Well, I mean, just like the bat signal, maybe the plane charter 6. Somebody has to track the KG charter because I'm hoping Charles Barkley was at JD Hoyt's last night, so we know he's in town.
Oh, really?
Whoa, I was right there. I was right by Chuck last night. I was at Dario.
He posted a picture outside of JD Hoyt's with the owners and everything. I'm pretty sure you got it for free. Pretty sure that was a free meal for Charles. But we also have to talk about JJ McCarthy and the OTAs because Justin Jefferson, he's not coming. So what does that mean for JJ McCarthy? And can he be ready to go by week 1 if he hasn't gelled with JJ? But you know who also won't be gelling with JJ? Sam Darnold. So what do we think about OTAs and the Minnesota Vikings? Also, maybe we'll get time. We'll talk about this Big 10, SEC, ACC, or Big 12, because Pac-10 doesn't exist anymore, settlement that just happened for college football players, basketball players, and the entire university. And what does that mean? And we'll do all that and much more. But I want everybody to know, Amazon Fire, Roku, whatever you use, make sure you subscribe, YouTube as well. We are live 24/7. You can get all of the shows right there. But with no further ado, let's drop into this. Talk about game 1. What happened?
Yeah, way too many threes, Ron. Way too many threes. The Mavericks decided, like, look, you guys are a big team, but we're going to challenge you. We're going to load up the paint and force you guys into making threes. And the Timberwolves was like, we can make threes. What do you mean? We make threes. That's what we do. Cat, Jaden, and it was interesting because, like, Jaden McDaniels led the team with 24 points. Jaden McDaniels should never lead your scoring efforts. But on the flip side of that, the Wolves basically wasted that. They wasted a great Jaden McDaniels performance, probably the best of his playoff career, 9 of 15 from the field. And it was just a weird game. It was like they were still trying to feel the Mavericks out. Chris Finch yesterday said that maybe they didn't know that the series started, and they know now. Very, very critical Chris Finch was yesterday about their game one performance. And so it was just very interesting to see the number of threes that they took. What was it, 49 threes, and they only made 18 of them. And you get 15 points from Naz Reid off the bench. You get 11 points from Slow-Mo. 11 points from Slow-Mo. And you lose because Luka and Kyrie was like, you know what? I'm going to be aggressive. And I was kind of watching some of the analyst shows, and they were talking about how, Luka is still dealing with this knee sprain that he's been nursing for a while. And the goal was like, okay, yeah, Kyrie, who is in great physical shape right now, for really like maybe since the LeBron days of his career, came out aggressive. It was like 19 points in that first quarter, like attacking the rim, which should not happen when you have the length that the Wolves have. And so he's attacking the rim, and then Luka played closer. I looked up, he had 18 points. He finished with a game-high 33 points, just a total dominant effort in that fourth quarter. And the Wolves just let that one slip away. Like I said, the Wolves played with their food and then messed around and dropped their plate. That's exactly what happened in that game, because that game was very, very winnable for them. And they just decided to play right into the Nets game plan. Jason Kidd was like, look, you guys are big. Come in the paint. Show us what you got. They're like, no, that's okay. We'll shoot it. Cats. What did Patrick Ewing say? Step back, one-legged. Is that your shot? Is that your shot?
Do you practice that shot?
Do you practice that? When have I ever seen you take that? You ain't never took that shot.
Cat was like, yeah, I saw him flat airball one of those during that game. And so it was just a very, very uncharacteristic performance. I think they were disappointed in their effort. Chris Finch definitely was disappointed, said that was a very tough film session. Anthony Edwards said guarding Kyrie, he was gassed. He was exhausted. I was just like, woo. And he really didn't look well on the defensive end against Kyrie or Luka. He was kind of getting cooked up a little bit. So he said that they'll be all right. We'll see what happens tonight.
Yeah, you could see Anthony Edwards down the stretch, that last like 4 series, I'd say. Hands on the hips, didn't want the ball, deferred, kept passing it. Every time the announcer even said, like, this is the time where Anthony Edwards, he passed the ball. So I don't know what that answer is for Chris Finch and Micah Nori. Micah Nori, but they've got to maybe get him off of it. Like they got to switch it up. They got to find a way to switch that up and give Jaden McDaniels more of Kyrie or somebody. I mean, heck, Monte Morris. Somebody's got to do it. But Julia, when you look at this game one, and I'll give you a different angle on this question. 1, first thoughts, but 2, do you think that's a trend or do you think that's more of a mirage?
Thoughts on game one. I think this is an interesting stat that I used at 10 p.m. last night. Teams that played a game 7 in the conference semifinals that face a team in the conference finals that did not play a game 7 in the conference semifinals are 0 for 14 in the league history. So, yeah, they dropped game 1, but I said in the 10 p.m. sportscast, I said, no, don't be too down on your dogs yet, because no one's done it. No one's had a game 7 that they played and turned around and won game 1 of the conference finals. It's never happened before. Thoughts on game 1? I mean, I just thought it was so interesting. It's always fun to hear what Chris Finch has to say after a disappointing loss, because he's so blunt and he's so honest. And he said, I'm not sure if my team knew they were in the Western Conference Finals, but after today's film session, I know they know now, which I just thought was great. But yeah, the storyline of the game was, if your 2 stars, Cat and Ant, aren't showing out like the 2 stars on the opposite or opposing bench, then you're not going to win that game. And you said it best, Reggie, when you say Jaden McDaniels can't be your leading scorer. That's just not going to happen unless he's playing just like the best game of his entire career and everyone else is just not able to keep up with him. But that's not going to happen. Game one, it's just Ant also, I think most of his shots were from beyond the arc, and he didn't get a whole lot off other than that. So I think Ant's got to step it up. I think he definitely looked winded. Game two, I think this is a really good, and Chris Finch said it himself, and it's a bounce back team that they have anyways. So he's not terribly worried headed into tonight's game. He's got a lot of confidence in that they can fix and that they can for sure win tonight. And I honestly think that they get game two for sure.
Yeah, the fatigue excuses bothered me because you had 2 full days off and the energy in that building. And it's not as if you were lethargic the whole game. The Wolves had a lot of moments where I thought they were very energized, and they had leads throughout the whole game. You played well enough to have a lead, but then you kind of fell on the fatigue excuse at the end. I think that Anthony Edwards was legitimately gassed, so maybe there's some validity to that. But this was the story of the game. The Wolves could not string together enough defensive stops to create any separation. Just look at when they went up by 9 in the first quarter. Dallas goes and gets a 4-point play right away. Wolves are up by 8 right before halftime. Another terrible end to the half. 5-0 run by Kyrie, including an and one right before the buzzer. You're up 5 in the third quarter. Dallas goes on a 13-0 run. And then you battle back to go up 4 late, and you give up back-to-back threes to Doncic and Washington. So the Wolves had moments. There were hinging points where it could have teetered very much in the Wolves' favor, and they couldn't get stops to generate any meaningful runs. I'm going to assume that Chris Finch's vitriol toward the effort was largely on the defensive end because they let Dallas shoot 50%. They let Dallas get 62 points in the paint, and they were apparently running the wrong coverage. They were running like a drop when they shouldn't have been, which is super weird and uncharacteristic. So I think game 2 is going to be different defensively from an effort standpoint. I don't know how the offense will look. It was way out of whack when Jaden scores 24 and Slow-Mo scores 11. Like the people that usually score weren't scoring. So I don't know how it's going to look, but defensively, I expect more.
Well, for me, I think you all guys make great points. Like Julia, I totally agree with some of the stat stuff. Like you have to find a way. Reggie, the threes, I was going to hit on that. 6 for 20. If I were to tell you guys the Mavs went 6 for 25 from 3, and the Wolves went 18 for 49 is still ridiculous. Like that's still bad. But 36% to 24%, you would assume that means, man, the Wolves actually won this because Luka wasn't hitting threes like he normally does. Kyrie wasn't daggering you with threes, and PJ Washington was cold as ice. It was almost like Brittany Renner showed up to Minnesota and said, hey, look, if you hit one more 3, you owe me more money. And so he was like, screw that. I'm not shooting again. For those that don't know, Google Brittany Renner and PJ Washington. It's a whole saga. I'm not going to get into that on this show. But when you think about that, when you think about what goes on with the 3-point ball, and Reggie, you're dead on. The Timberwolves at some point should have realized we are getting points and they're not making these threes. We have to make them pay. I get 3 for 3, but if they're missing, you got to go to your bigs and let Karl-Anthony Towns do what he does best on the mismatches, and they weren't doing it. The other one, and this is the one that pisses me off the most, free throws too. 11 for 18. You make 3 of those, it's a tie game. You make 4. I'm not saying go 18 for 18. Go 15 for 18 and you win the game. 15 for 18 wins the game. Like, we can't say hack a Shaq because Shaq told us already, stop saying that before I punch you because he hates that. He said, call it something else. Call it hack a dodo, whatever you want to call it. But we can't say hack a Shaq or he's going to punch Charles Barkley. But if we could say it, he punches Charles Barkley, I think we'll keep saying it. But that 11 for 18 on free throws. They are free. They're free. Make them. If I'm the Timberwolves, tired, exhausted, whatever, rest. I would have had them in the gym shooting free throws until everybody makes 50. Like, we're not leaving this gym till everybody makes 50 free throws, because that would what required them to win that game. Very simple stuff. It's basketball. We got to move on because I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm already annoyed, but I got my shirt on today. So people always ask, I see it on Twitter every once in a while, like, oh, we get this shirt here. I don't know if those are for those that don't know the Marvel story or the Avengers story. I'm gonna throw. I know Sam don't know because he don't watch the movies like that.
No clue.
Julia, do you know what this logo represents?
It's Captain America's shield.
But do you know? But this is not the normal red, white, and blue one.
No.
Okay, Reggie, do you remember this one? So this was when
give it to us, Ron.
This is when Cap came back and he was kind of like dark. He had went away. He was kind of pissed off. He was wearing the all black now. He got rid of the cool red, white, and blue and America's hero. He showed back up in black. It was one of the best intros of a star in a movie that I've seen in a while. I know there's like the Batman dropping down. I know there's the one where Superman comes back after he dies. This is when Captain America shows up to save Wanda and Vision. Like he's all black leather. He's like, screw this. I'm a killer now. I'm not playing no games. That's what our Captain Anthony Edwards has to be tonight. He has to be the dark Captain America. He cannot go out there. He has to go back to the Anthony Edwards that was like, bring your ass. Like he's got to be the guy that says, me and you one-on-one, you don't want this problem. He can't worry about guarding Kyrie. I get it, but he might want to guard Luka and let Jaden McDaniels and everybody else deal with Kyrie because Kyrie moves way too fast and way too much. But that's what this shirt represents. So we're going to talk about game 2. Let's start there. What do you have for game 2?
Before we get into game 2, I'm going to tell the folks about game time. 1 second. We're brought to you by Game Time today. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of professional sports. You can get into basketball games at great deals. You've got sports, comedy, concerts, theater options as well. But I'm looking at Game Time right now, $247 to get into Target Center tonight. Or you can go next door, Twins Rangers. The champs are in town. $15 to get into Target Field on Game Time. Check out those deals. I suspect the prices will go down as the event gets closer. Zone deals, choose a section. Game Time chooses the seats. You can use flash deals, which are exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event, and the lowest price guarantee, where Game Time credits you 110% of the difference. All reasons why Game Time is absolutely the best place to buy tickets. They take the guesswork out of buying tickets to the NBA. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And now let me tell you about game 2. I sent you all the FanDuel lines on game 2. I want us all to make a prediction for a player coming up tonight in game 2, and then we'll make a final score prediction. But I am looking at Anthony Edwards assists. I think he's going to be selfish tonight, and maybe not in necessarily a bad way, but I think he's going to get his shots. He's going to be more aggressive. He's going to get to the rim. He's going to try a little more mid-range. I think, Julia, your point was he shot 12 of his 16 field goals from beyond the arc. It's a few too many. He didn't have the legs to get around anybody in game 1. I'm looking at Anthony Edwards assists. Over under 6.5. I am taking the under. A lot of money already on the under. Minus 156 odds. So if you lay $20 on that, you could return about $13, I think. Anthony Edwards is going to shoot and score tonight. I am quite confident the Wolves will find a way to get him in some single coverage, try to avoid those doubles, to get the right matchups on him. He needs to get going downhill more, Chris Finch said. So that's my FanDuel prediction for Edwards tonight. Reggie, what do you got?
I predict that the Wolves won't get outscored 62-38 in points in the paint again. Like, that was ridiculous. Shout out to Julia's high school classmate Daniel Gafford, just catching lobs. They turned Dallas into Clippers Lob City for a bit there. Luka's just like, like the Magic Johnson gif, like that happened. I think it felt like Cat was kind of embarrassed at their effort. He just kept saying that we just can't allow points in the paint because you got 3 guys who are 6'10" or taller, and that just can't happen when you have the length that you have. I think this Mavs team is a lot different from the one that they played in January. So I'm looking forward to, them being like, okay, we know what this Mavs team can do. We know what they're about. And you got 30 and 33 from Kyrie and Luka in game 1 and still had a chance to win. I think that probably makes them feel pretty good about their chances in game 2. If they can get just a little bit more from Ant and Cat and at least 15 from Jaden McDaniels, who plays really well at home, I think that they can win this game tonight.
Julia.
Wait, Sam, what did you say yours was?
Yours is under, right?
Under 6.5 assists.
Okay.
He's going to shoot.
Oh, I think he's still – I'm going to go with Anthony Edwards made threes. I'm going to take the over of 3.5. I think he's still going to shoot it from beyond a I was wondering I was trying to look through these. My internet wasn't loading.
You get pretty good odds on the over 3.5 threes. You get plus 138.
138. I feel like that's a pretty easy bet because I still think he's gonna. I mean, it's Ant, So I think that's a pretty solid bet that you can put down on him. Plus 138 over 3.5. Made threes. I think he'll make them tonight. But again, we'll see. But it's Ant, and it's game 2 of the Western Conference Finals, so that's my pick.
Mm-hmm.
Can I do a Dallas one too, Sam, or do I have to just
go for it?
Okay.
Go for it.
Because here's the thing. Luka Doncic, I don't know if you guys know this. There's only like a couple players who've scored close to the points he scored in the playoff this year, and that's Michael Jordan is one of them. So I got to go with Luka Doncic over 29.5 points. I'm also going opposite of you, Sam, if I'm putting a parlay together, because y'all know my heartbreak. I think Reggie tweeted about it. Pierre Nugent, he hates like props and he hates parlays. Like every time I tweet a parlay that I've done on FanDuel, he like absolutely tells me stop doing that. Like you guys see it on Twitter. He hates it like with a passion. Like I think he's just an angry person though in general. Like if you watch him ever do anything, he's always angry. But I was one assist away from hitting a nice 800 plus 800 parlay. Like nice. I just needed Jokic. I just needed you to get 1 assist. I needed KCP to not get blocked and just dunk it. Like I needed somebody to let him just dunk the ball. I was 1 away. But here's the one I'm going to go with. I'm going against you, Sam. I'm going Anthony Edwards over 6.5 assists. Why? Because I think he's going to be a complete player tonight. I have a feeling he's going to be on the precipice. I love that word. Of a triple-double. Anthony Edwards is going to be on the precipice of a triple-double. He's going to have 10 assists. He's going to have double-digit points. And he's going to have over 10 rebounds. Like Anthony Edwards is going to hit a precipice of a triple-double tonight. Like he's going to be like, because I was looking at like, this is the thing. When women or mothers dream about fish, I think I've heard, that means their daughters or somebody's pregnant. I dreamed about Jordans last night. I think my dream about Jordans, because I don't know if you guys know the lows, the patent leather lows, the OG lows, the all black patent leather. I know no Reggie knows about those. They released those last week, and I literally slept through the release. I'm so mad at myself
because I had it in my cart. On game day.
Did he?
Don't
tell me that.
They were tight.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that. I'm so mad at
myself.
He walked
out, swagged out with that. Mm-hmm. We were like, Ernie, where do you get your shoes?
You ask him what size shoe he wears.
Okay.
Well, I know some ski mask people that'll meet him after the game.
No, we asked him, Ernie, where'd you get your shoes? He was like, from everywhere, because I'm always in them.
From Michael. Like, Michael probably delivered those to Ernie. But Ernie, I mean, I don't know if y'all watch the show. Ernie is always fire with the kicks. Like he keeps some Jordan 1s on. He keeps some original Air Force on. Like Reggie, or not Reggie, but him and Kenny Smith, like they stay in some nice kicks. Like I'll give him that. Shaq just goes with the old school dress shoes. Barkley, I don't know what he wears under there. But Ernie and Kenny Smith, like they keep some fire on their feet. Like reminds me of Reggie. Like I always, like when I see Reggie and Ahmad and Gabe. Like, I'm like, man, I gotta step my game up. So I'm kind of annoyed I didn't get the patent leather joints because I saw they got released. But I had a dream about them, which means Anthony Edwards is gonna have a Jordan-esque game tonight. I'm looking super forward to it. It was my birthday yesterday. I'm 44 years old now. My mom, my sister, my brother-in-law are coming to town. Gabe Henderson and his brother in town. So we're having 2 nights of watch parties. I don't think Gabe and his brother are coming tonight. Oh. Those wonder.
Wait for it. Wait for it. This is a long build-up.
Oh, there it is.
it took a while to land the plane there.
I was like, what is this song? I didn't know if like Pat Sajak was coming out or what was about to happen. Drew
It's a
Carey?
game show.
Let's just play the
How old
Stevie
is
Wonder
Ron
version.
Johnson?
He gets right to it.
Right. Yeah. Happy birthday. Whatever. Forgot how that goes. To you. Well, appreciate it. Yeah, I'm 44 now. And so that was one of my dreams. I do see some boxes wrapped up on the kitchen table. So I don't know what I got. One of them looks like a shoebox. So who knows? They might have already been purchased, but I know I had them in my cart. Set the alarm. I'm a part of the Nike club. And yeah.
Fresh new pair of Asics for you, bro.
I got a $500 gift card to Nike, had it loaded up, and I went to sleep. I totally overslept. Like I was like, how did I oversleep and miss this on the week? It was like Saturday morning too. So of course, no sports. So anyway,
shoes that you can help me with, Ron. $500, you say, huh? Okay.
Yeah, 500. I did. I had like a $750 gift card. We spent $250 of it when we went to Iowa, and that's how I made my parlay bet. I was in Iowa, so we went down to that Nike store, and my wife got 2 pairs of shoes. I got a pair of shoes, and then we got our kids some clothes. And I only spent like $250 on it because the outlet, best deals ever. And so then I said, I still got $500. I'm like, oh, the George came out. And I missed them. So I'm gonna still keep an eye on the next release though, because I got the money. But yeah, But anyway, back to my point. We went off the rails a little bit, as I tend to do on shows. But I'm going Anthony Edwards over on assists, and then I'm gonna go Luka Doncic over on points. That's my prediction. I think the Timberwolves win. They can't go down 0-2, or else everybody's gonna jump off the bandwagon. So we know that it's got to be 1-1. But looking at our next topic, one quick question I have for you guys too. Just to stick to this, because we're on game 2 quick before we get over to the Twins, and can they make the playoffs? I didn't even know that was a thing. Like I literally didn't, but it feels a little bit like the chance of like, what was it? Jim Carrey getting the redhead in Dumb and Dumber. Like that's the chances I think the Twins have making the playoffs. Sorry, Twins, no hate. But that's about the chances I think they have. But I do have a quick question for you guys before we get a word from our sponsors. Tonight, because we already made our predictions on the deal. Tonight, and this is another question I've heard. So I love to, like, when I have conversations with people in national media, and Sam knows, like Jim, Pete, and I, which we're very good at, people. If you ever come on our show, we don't air the stuff that got recorded when we weren't telling you we were recording. But Jim, Pete, and I kept the conversation going, just like Blake Cashman and I did when Sam, I don't know where Sam went. Sam went to dinner or something. And Blake Cashman and I talked for like another 40 minutes. But Jim, Pete, and I talked. And here's a question I have for you guys really quick before we get to the SiriusXM read and then the Twins. If Luka Doncic, very specific, if Luka Doncic or Kyrie, one of the two, if Luka Doncic or Kyrie is not the best player on the floor tonight, can the Mavs win? If Anthony Edwards is not the best player on the floor tonight, can the Timberwolves win? Which one is more like if Luka Doncic is not the best player on the floor tonight, or Anthony Edwards is not, which one is more likely? Who affects their team more, basically, is the question. Does Kyrie or Luka suffering, or does Anthony Edwards suffering? Which team is affected more by their star not being ready to play tonight? And
they've overcome Ant. They've overcome Ant. Sorry, they've overcome Ant before in games and won. So, like I said, I looked up and Luka had 18, and then he finished with 33, and they needed that 33 from Luka to win game 1. Even as bad as the Timberwolves shot it. So if Kyrie and or Luka are off, they probably get their doors blown off.
Okay. Julia.
I mean, we talked all season about the depth of the Wolves. So if somebody's off, somebody else is bound to shine. So I think the Wolves have an easier chance if Ant or Cat aren't doing their best.
Samuel.
Yeah, I think the Wolves have a few guys that could pick up the slack. I think Dallas has maybe like one, like PJ Washington.
Right.
who could pick up the slack. So I think the answer is if Luka is off, if he has a game like he did in game 4 against OKC, then the Wolves even this series.
I don't know who's single on the Wolves. Like, I don't know if Jay McDaniels is single or Nas Reed is single. But if I'm one of them, I'm texting Brittany Renner. Like, I'm being super petty tonight. Like, I'm texting her so that I can go to PJ. Like, hey man, your girl said what up. I'm making it super petty, and you're gonna hate me tonight. Like, you're gonna absolutely hate. I miss those days with like Lawrence Taylor. I know you guys have heard those stories. Lawrence Taylor used to like send stuff to guys' rooms at 1 a.m. so that they would stay up all night, or he would talk to them about, like, he would tell them like, yeah, I know your wife did this, or I know your sister did this. Blah, blah. Like, they were super rude to each other back in the day. I miss, like, Michael Jordan said that too. Like, guys would talk trash about guys when they knew stuff. I'm not saying be petty, but I think it's time to be petty. But the one thing I look at, and I agree with you guys, I think the Wolves are deeper. And because of that, that's the take I was about to go with. Anthony Edwards has to shut down Luka, I think you let Anthony Edwards deal with Luka. He's not going to waste as much energy because Luka doesn't run like Kyrie. He's not as quick as Kyrie, and he can stay in front of Luka more than he can stay in front of Kyrie without getting fouls. And he's just as strong, even though Luka's 6'7", Anthony Edwards is 6'5". So I would put him on him, save that energy because you're not chasing. You're using more strength than speed. And then you got to have a combo of guys on Kyrie. And I think you jump Kyrie and get the ball out of his hands like they did Steph Curry. You jump him. You don't let him go single coverage. You put Anthony Edwards on Luka, and then you can save some of that energy. If he can't get as much offensively, he'll be fine. But you shut those two down, the Mavs have nothing else. And Reggie, you're right. They get their doors blown off. But now we have a word from our sponsors. And then we're going to get to the Twins and the Vikings.
Yeah, we're partnered with SiriusXM app. All of our content, search Locked On Sports Minnesota, and also hear the hometown broadcasts on SiriusXM for the Twins, for the Wolves. Just search Twins, just search Wolves. SiriusXM partnered with Locked On.
Julia, the Twins, our favorite on FanDuel. Sorry, I'm laughing. It's not funny. Do you believe that this is the playoff? Sorry. I can't even read the question without laughing at it. It's not about the Twins. This drink is really good.
What's in it, Ron?
It's just tea. It's the new tea. I'm not going to say the company because they don't pay us to say it. It's a new like energy tea. And I tried it today. I have a lot of energy. It does work. But do you believe that this is a playoff team? Sorry. Summer Sausage. Do you believe that they're a playoff team?
I think it's just way too early in the season to make a solid prediction on anything like that. Obviously, they got the Rangers. I think they can beat the Rangers in this series that starts today. But the real test is when they have the Royals right after that. They got to break into 30 in the win column. How many games behind? They're
quite a few.
Yeah,
they're 6.5 behind the Guardians, and they're 1.5 though behind the Royals. So
4.5 out of the wild card.
I was gonna say, what are you looking at?
Or they're in the wild card. There's 3 wild card teams now, so they're in the wild card spot.
Yeah. They're 1.5 behind the Royals. Unless this is wrong. No, this is right. Yeah, 1.5 behind the Royals, 6.5 behind the Guardians.
They've just been a little too inconsistent for me to put money down on anything right now. I gotta see some consistency with the bats. The sausage doesnn't seem to help them there for 2 series until they got to play in the Nationals. Even then, but I think it's just so early. It's so early in the year. How many games have they played right now?
They're 26 and 23, I think.
49 games.
Yeah. I think we have to see some more consistency at bat. And also I can't wait for Royce to come back, by the way. I think he's on the up and up.
It's taking forever.
It is taking forever. And he hadn't even started his rehab assignment last week when we were trying to do some coverage of him. But also the pitching has to be more consistent too. We'll see how Bailey Ober does tonight. I think it'll be really telling because his last start was not great, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Pablo's got to be Pablo.
Yeah.
They haven't gotten – this is kind of what Pablo did last year. He was a slow starter, and then he turned it on late. But, I mean, this is the Twins, like, line chart. It's just a seesaw. It's up. It's 17 out of 20. It's lose 7 in a row. Now they've won a couple in a row. They started 7 out of 20. Like, it's been miserable. It's been wonderful, and then miserable again. and I don't know who's real. I do think that during that 12-game winning streak, we probably got a little bit lost in the fact that they were playing some wretched baseball teams. Like the White Sox were 7 of those games. The Angels are bad. The Red Sox are middling. So it's not as if they beat World Series champions during that stretch. They took advantage of bad teams. That's good. But the record right now, where it's at 3 games above 500, feels about right. Fortunately, while the AL Central is not as bad as last year, the American League as a whole does seem pretty mediocre. So that wild card spot could be the ticket. If the Guardians are going to play like this, good luck. You're not catching them. Royals can come back to the pack, but I think this wild card spot could be an entry point for the Twins because I don't know who's going to charge at them. There's a lot of teams on their tail, but it's there for the taking right now in that wild card spot.
Boston Red Sox, Tampa Bay Rays, Texas Rangers, Toronto Blue Jays, Detroit Tigers, Houston Astros, cheaters, Oakland Athletics, don't want to be there no more, and then Los Angeles Angels. But the Boston Red Sox are half game out. And so that's the only team right now immediately that can hurt them or get in and push them out of it. But they do have the last AL wild card spot. I'm sorry to laugh at you, FanDuel. You're smart because you're going to get a lot of people to put money on this team now because it seems like the way baseball is going and the way the Red Sox have been going, even though the Red Sox are on a 4-game win streak, Twins are on a 2-game win streak. Twins have an easier schedule than the Red Sox. So this could mean maybe they get in as an AL wild card. Reggie, your thoughts? Is this a playoff team?
Yeah, I think so. Probably not to win the Central, though. I was at an event last night for Aces, and Dave St. Peter was there. He was like, yeah, we've won the Central 4 out of the last 6 years. And I'm like, man, they got some work to do. I don't know if I believe the Royals, but the Guardians, I don't understand how they do this all the time. Just like the small ball stuff, and they're just winning games however they need to. You just wonder how sustainable that is, but it's the Guardians, and they've shown that they can do it. In the past, not last year, but in the past seasons, they've shown that they have the pedigree to go ahead and take care of the division. It's interesting. The Twins played the Blue Jays last year in the playoff opener, and I got an alert saying that the Blue Jays might be in fire sale. They were like top landing spots for Vladdy. I'm like, what? What are they doing? So I'm interested to see, to you all's point, where the Twins will stack up in that wild card race. If they're just going to continue to be seesaw like this, where they do well. That 7-game losing streak felt like a really, really low point for this team this year so far. Guys are pointing fingers. Rocco's annoyed with how they're batting, and I'm like, dang, is this a free-for-all that's about to happen? But they dug themselves out of it. So I say a playoff team, but I'm skeptical if that means by way of winning the Central.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing for the Guardians for the Guardians real quick. Like, don't look a good bunt in the mouth. Like, never look a gift bunt in the mouth. Like, they are winning games because guys are willing to do the little things. And, one of the games they won 6-3, sparked by a bunt. Imagine that. Like, getting a big bunt. And a lot of times I've seen it in college softball now where a lot of people overlook the bunt and they're like, oh, that's a Bush League play. If you can't defend it, you can't beat us. So we're going to do it. And that's where I think a lot of these teams have kind of said, and Hedges said, you got to find a way to get the boys going. Voight said their coach, blah, blah, no matter what, behind the plate, in the dugout, in the clubhouse. It is what it is. We have the heart. We have the soul. That bunt meant the world to us. That's a team that embraces the small ball part of the game. So that's how the Guardians are getting it done. And they probably have a little cardboard cutout of something that every time they win, they're ripping the clothes off. That's an old reference to a Major League, the movie, Sam. Of course, you haven't seen it.
I know. I get that one. Yeah.
Okay. Just a bit outside. Who was that? Bob Uecker? Was that the
Bob
actor?
Uecker.
Yeah.
He's still going, by the way, for the Brewers. He's still doing it.
Oh, wow. Man, Who knew? Betty White, sorry, rest in peace. She's not, but Bob Uecker still going. But when you think about this team for the Twins, things like that need to happen. I know the summer sausage was what sparked them for a while. Now they got to find something else. Like they got to find something sustainable on the field, not just in the clubhouse, not just in the dugout. But yeah, maybe they could be a playoff team because they're in it right now. But like Julia said, it's way too early. 49 games. What do they play? They still play what, like 162?
Yeah, just a mere 113 to go.
They got to change that because for people like me, I would much rather see the playoffs than I would the regular season. Get into the playoffs sooner, get more playoff games. Forget all these, like, way too much. But anyway, we got to move on to the Vikings quick before we get out of here. We got a little under 8 minutes. Minnesota Vikings are in training camp and OTAs, JJ McCarthy. The more and more I listen, this is the thing. I try to drown out the national media because they're going to play the narrative that they think works for their show. But here's where I go with this. We also know there's always internal employees who have certain people at certain networks on their phone and they're ready to text them. I now know who those people are because I've been given privy to that information of who those people are. When that stuff comes out sometimes, it's put out there for a reason. So can JJ McCarthy start week 1? My answer, no. I don't think he can. I don't think he will. I don't think it's smart to do it. Look at every successful quarterback that did not have to play right away, whether it is Patrick Mahomes sitting out behind Alex Smith, whether it is, Brock Purdy, not being named the starter, then all of a sudden get Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers. I think JJ McCarthy can be set up to be a really good guy. The other question is, look at all these teams that benefited from getting rid of their big-time receiver. Not to say it's going to happen, but Stephon Diggs leaves, they get Justin Jefferson. Stephon Diggs leaves Buffalo, they get another guy. They don't have to keep paying them. They don't have the headache. You get rid of Tyreek Hill with Kansas City, you still win the Super Bowl. He goes off to Miami. Like, there is a rhyme to that. So is Justin Jefferson the end game to be with JJ McCarthy? Maybe not. But I do think JJ McCarthy will start at some point. I just don't think it's week 1. But I don't know. OTAs are fresh and they're early and they're new. Sam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if he's going to be given a chance, right? Because there's the difference between a competition to have an opportunity to be the week 1 starter, and then there's the preordained, you're sitting. I mean, we're benching you. You're gonna learn. You don't even have a look. And based on the first OTA, he's with the 3s or maybe the 4s. He's over on the rookie field with Jaron Hall.
Yep.
You don't have a chance if you're with the 3s because then you're taking all the third team reps. And the way the Vikings operate, third team reps, you get like a sliver of the work of first and second teams. So if you're a third team quarterback in the preseason, yeah, there's no pathway for you to start week 1. So my question is, do they eventually elevate him to number 2 status? Maybe they trade Nick Mullins because they can't keep 4 quarterbacks on this team. They're not going to. Does he at some point get to a spot where he could vie for it? Or are the Vikings just saying flat out, nope, we're not even going to flirt with it. Mullins is our backup. You're our number 3 until further notice. I'm curious about that. I could see them just deciding, hey, you're not going to see the field until, midway through the season at earliest.
Yeah, and for JJ McCarthy, I think you brought up a good point, Sam. But here's the thing. Kevin O'Connell was in that situation. Not say he was a first-round draft pick, but Kevin O'Connell has seen that as a player. I think he knows the formula to make sure JJ McCarthy is not put. Because think about how much we hated on Bryce Young because they gave him the spot right away and how bad he looked, not knowing some of the throws, not knowing some of the plays. I think this is smart. You hide him over there with the rookies. He can't be in the spotlight and make mistakes. Reggie's not running over there to watch the 3s. Reggie's going to watch Sam Darnold with the 1s. He's going to maybe see JJ McCarthy warming up, and we'll see a little video, and Reggie's going to talk about it, and Julia's going to have comments, and she's going to cook in her kitchen with Juju, and she's going to put the bad Juju out there and all that. And so we know that. We know that stuff's going to happen. But why put the bad Juju out of JJ McCarthy making a bad throw? Hide him as long as you can, like any good investment, any good smart person, and then say later, like Nikki Glazer said, even Gronk knows that's not real money. Like, you don't go for the Fugazi. You wait. Put him to the side. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw that. That was the best joke ever. But you put it to the side and you let JJ McCarthy learn so that when it is time to be in the spotlight, what is training camp? July 24th, I think, 25th? Then he's ready. You don't do it right now. And I think that's what's going on with Bo Nix in Denver. They just talked about that. Bo Nix is not with the 1s or the 2s. And I think the only person that's been given the keys is Caleb Williams. So I think there is a point to this. But Reggie, JJ McCarthy, percentage as well. What are your thoughts on percentage chance of starting week 1?
I think it's like 5%. I don't think it was ever really the intention to just put him out there right away. I think when they signed Sam Darnold, they wanted him to do that, to take the reins. And, and Sam talked about, what was it, last week, talked about how, he's just looking forward to playing consistent football again. He was like, I play a little bit, then I have to sit again. And, it messes with his rhythm and all that. And I think he wants the chance to show and prove that he can do it. I would say again, but it wasn't great the last few times where he was the full-time starter. So I want to see JJ McCarthy sit back and learn a little bit. And if it's just dire circumstances, because they still have Mullins as well. I'm not sure what that means for Jaren Hall or Mullins, depending on that. Because, like Sam said, keeping 4 quarterbacks is a little tough, but yeah, I think that it would be in McCarthy's best interest. He's 21 years old to just sit, watch, learn, observe, and then come in at a later time where he might be more successful.
And Julia, thoughts, percentage, and then week 1, what are your thoughts on this with JJ McCarthy?
They're below 5%. I think there'd have to be some broken legs or torn ligaments to see him out there week 1 starting. I think he knows that he's got a lot to learn. He knew that coming in, that this is a totally different playbook than what he's used to. And I think that they're going to take their time to develop him if they can. Ron, you're muted.
You missed everything I said. It was awesome. No, but Julia, that's a great point. But my thought is on this, though. If Sam Darnold is not up to par, do you think it gets skipped over, or do you think it has to be JJ McCarthy?
That's the good question right there, is whether Mullins is still valued enough to be your backup.
I still think they would start Mullins week 1
over JJ.
Yes.
Wow. Sam.
I agree.
I kind of would lean Mullins. Yeah.
Because that's the other question people are saying. And so, because the whole Andy Dalton Red Rifle thing, and then, Sam Darnold being Red Rifle Jr. and, he was really good at USC and blah, blah. Can he get it? But if he doesn't get it done, because allegedly in Carolina, he had gotten it done, but the owners really wanted Bryce Young. And that's why Frank Wright was eventually fired, because he wasn't on board with putting Bryce Young out there right away. And so Sam Darnold never got the chance. It sounds like Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi kind of, weren't on the same page at first, but I think they're starting to figure this out. We can't put him in that situation, and Sam Darnold is good enough to get the ball. Sam Darnold, in my opinion, is better than Jaren Hall. He's better than Nick Mullins, and he's better than Josh Dobbs. And all those guys were pretty successful at points in time in games with Justin Jefferson and TJ Hockenson on the field. We know TJ Hockenson might not be back, but I think that's going to be the key to this. I really don't know. I would up the percentage, though. I would say 30% chance he starts week 1. But I would personally put him over Nick Mullins. I don't know if I want to go into week 1 with Nick Mullins. I would hope, and Sam Darnold gets it done, and then if he can't, I think it's JJ McCarthy. But that does it for us to show. Make sure you guys tune into the Ron Johnson on Tuesday. Me and Sam are going to dive into this NCAA thing over the weekend. There's going to be a ton of news coming out about the NCAA and what's going on with this settlement of $2.7 billion. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. That's Reggie Wilson. That's Julia Daniels. You've heard everything we have to say. Now it's time for the Timberwolves to play. And we'll see if they can walk out of here 1-1 and head it out to Dallas. Or are they going to go to Dallas down 0-2 with a chance of never coming back home for another game? But again, this has been Locked On Roundtable. It's been a beautiful Friday. Looks like the sun might be coming out and the rain is stopping. I want you guys to have a great weekend and enjoy your Memorial Day. Have a great one.